Greetings, everyone. Please let me know you can hear me by typing a Y on the text chat. Excellent. So can everyone see my screen? All right. So welcome to today's training, The Art of Astral Projection, how to effectively master spiritual transcendence with no limits using astral travel. Pretty provocative title, right? And so before we get started, please just type on the text chat what prompted you to be here and invest your time for this webinar. What are you looking to get out of it? Learn more about ascension, learn more about how to project consciousness, expand awareness, further evolve, ascension, learn how to astral travel deliberately. All right. So make sure you don't have anything that could possibly distract you during this training. Also, if you have a notepad or a journal and you want to take notes, you can do that. The use of transcendence. Yes, so really the purpose of this webinar is to link together astral projection with ascension and spiritual evolution. You know, I've been activating DNA since 1999, and I have a lot of experience with this, which I'm going to go over. But really, if you want to get out of here, the first step is to learn how to astral project. And so that's what we're going to go over tonight. And let me just ask you a question. Who here has ever had an astral projection experience or an out-of-body experience? Just type a Y in the text chat. Awesome. So a lot of you have already done this, either deliberately or accidentally, right? And so what you're going to learn today, some of you are new to astral projection. So you're going to learn the definition of astral projection, the astral plane, and your astral body and what it can be used for. You're going to learn some of the myths about astral projection that are out there. You're also going to learn about the preparation that you have to do for yourself, you know, your astral field, your energy field, your chakras, your breathing, your DNA, your kundalini, before you can actually do this. And then how you can start practicing astral projection, which really, if you think about it, opens up an entirely new world of opportunities for you. I mean, how many of you have been in this ridiculous lockdown and quarantine and wish that you could have a different world, you know, a world where you had freedom and a world where you didn't have fear and a bunch of ridiculous, you know, authority figures telling you what you can and can't do. So that's another benefit of astral projection. You get to get out of this low frequency matrix world of the 3D and actually commune with higher consciousness, higher beings. You know, you can even meet up with your friends in the astral. You know, you can do specific tests. You know, one of the tests that I teach people how to do is, you know, write a note next to your bed, and then at night have your friend who's practicing astral travel come to your house and read the note. And so once you can do that successfully, it really ingrains the fact that this is possible, and you can just go from there. That's just the beginning. So we'll talk about how you can do that. Also, a disclaimer, I will be making an offer on this webinar. Whether or not you get the offer to learn how to do advanced astral travel, I suspect you'll find tremendous value in the webinar. Also, this webinar is going to be very brief. I don't want to waste your time or mine. I will be telling you some stories of astral projection, some of the things that I did with my mentor, Babaji Nagaraj, that will be unbelievable to your logical mind. But if you stay until the end of the webinar, I will give you a copy of my book, Mentored by My Avatar, Conversations with Babaji, where you'll actually read about my astral projection experience with his teacher and mentor, Krishna. And we'll actually pull that up on this webinar so you can see what happened. Also, I want to address the higher self part of you on this webinar. I want to bypass your judgmental, skeptic, conscious mind. So what I want you to do is I'm going to guide you on how to connect to your higher self right now so that you will be able to feel the truth in what I'm sharing. So just take a deep breath in through your nose for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 7. And then exhale for a count of 8. So inhale for a count of 4. Hold. And then exhale very slowly. Let's do that one more time. Inhale. Hold it. And exhale. So we're just practicing slowing down our inner rhythm and breathing. Have your left hand with the palm facing down, fingers pointing away from you. Very relaxed and not touching anything. Now close your eyes and you can say out loud, connecting to my higher self. Feel what happens in your left hand as you say this. So you're connecting to your higher self and I'm connecting to your higher self. So now we're all connected at the higher self level, which is you from dimensions 4 through 15. Everyone feel that tingling in the fingertips of your left hand? Just type a Y in the text chat. Awesome. So now we can truly get something done because we're operating at the higher level of mind. This is your avatar level of mind. So you'll be able to receive the information, which is of a very high frequency, and your conscious mind won't get in the way. So let's get started here. So what is a big problem? The big problem that I'm focusing on solving in the world and, from this webinar is people are stuck here in the 3D and in the Matrix. I watched the Matrix movie again with my son the other day, and he asked me, he's like, is this real? Is the Matrix real? I'm like, what do you think? He's like, yeah, it seems real. And we're starting to have some really good conversations because he's 9 years old now. And so we'll be at lunch and he'll ask me questions, how do people become immortal? And I'll start explaining, that's the original design is immortality. We're not supposed to die and drop a body. We're supposed to transmute our body into light. And he has the encoded information in his DNA. So he's just remembering, since the time he was 4, I've taught him how to do manifestations. when I told him about remote viewing, we were at the pool and he says, I want to learn that right now. You know, he said, I'll stay up all night if I have to. And so I taught him remote viewing and he got his first target accurately. So most people right now are stuck watching CNN, getting fear projected into their psyche, living from the first three chakras: sex, survival, pain, suffering, victimization, poverty, consciousness, lack, limitation, power and control. Their heart chakra is completely closed, which they can't access their soul identity, which is fourth chakra, fifth chakra, and sixth chakra, or fourth DNA strand, fifth DNA strand, and sixth DNA strand. And so this is the majority of humanity. I mean, how many of you have noticed that the planet is actually getting more dense? Just type a Y in the text chat. And so there are very few people on the planet like you guys who are indigos and myself who actually get this. And when you find people that you can resonate with, it's very rare. It's like finding your own functional soul family. You probably grew up with a very dysfunctional genetic family. But when you meet your higher soul family, you get along, everything just flows, and it's like a recognition. And so the big problem is you're stuck here in the 3D of the matrix. Let me know if this sounds like you. Who here is sick and tired of this fake pandemic and having to lose your business and wear a stupid mask because of 7 people on the planet? Who here is tired of that? Yeah, absolutely, right? So if the planet is getting denser and the majority of the people on the planet are asleep and unevolved, those of you who are awake or awakening are the ones that are the light holders on the planet, like the pillars of light. They're called indigos. Indigos have a larger DNA template than angelic humans. And so this is the work that I've been doing since 1999. And it's not easy work. It's called the great work for a reason. The great work is raising the consciousness of the planet, healing the grids, healing the energy fields. And so that's the work that we're involved in. And for those of you who are new, I know there's a lot of new people on the webinar. My mission is to teach people how to clear all blockages to self-actualization, and then how to manifest with your mind, because you're given a mind for a reason. You're given a mind so you can practice what is called engaged detachment. Engaged detachment is setting your intention and then detaching from how that manifestation happens. So that's what I've been teaching now for the last 21 years. And the main way that I do this is through coding. Codes and symbols and light and sound, that's the language of your higher self. So for example, when you look at this code on the screen, you're immediately doing what is called optical pineal induction. The frequency and intention of this code is immediately activated in your field. And so you can feel this. If you're sensitive to energy, you can feel what's happening right now. The code is working on you. So it's clearing anything that doesn't resonate with this code. And so what I've learned over the years is that this is the fastest way to clear people, is to combine an intention with a sacred geometrical symbol or code that has certain color frequencies which correspond to certain dimensions. And so if you have your left hand with the palm facing down, fingers pointing away from you right now, and you're focused on this code, notice what happens in your left hand. Just feel what happens. So right now you'll feel the energy right around your second knuckle, moving toward the center of your hand. With your right hand, just type a Y if you feel that. All right, so what I'm doing is activating this code in you. So I can activate a code for thousands of people at the same time. You know, if I want to clear someone's auric attachments, I can do that for 1,000 people or more at the same time. We've had over 4,500 people on a webinar before. So this didn't just happen, you know, by accident. I've been doing this all over the world in 5 different countries, not just for spiritual people, but for business people. You know, I've given workshops in Brazil, Cancun. I've lived in different places that are correspondent to the actual stargates of the planet, because your energy is directly connected to the grids. And so wherever you are, you activate the stargate that is closest to you. A stargate is like a chakra of the earth. And, you know, I started out, I grew up in Texas. I was pre-med in college. And when I found out that doctors were not really healing people, they were just prescribing medications, I changed my major to computer science. So I focused on that. I worked for 10 years as a Big Six consulting expert in SAP software, which is like the German equivalent of Microsoft. And I did some of the largest SAP implementations in the world. So I was a technical architect for Union Carbide, Reliant Energy, which is the light company of Texas, Florida Power and Light, Ernst & Young, even Enron, General Electric, and all the Coca-Cola companies. And so if someone gives you the root password, which is the Unix root password for every single server in their company, then they have some trust in you. Because one wrong keystroke and you can bring down the entire company. And so that's something that I've always had. You know, people trust me because I do good work, and I always am ahead of everyone else when it comes to learning something. So I always got every single computer science certification when it came out. You know, I've had offices in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where people would come to see me, and I would have all these codes on the walls as giant posters. And so when they would come for a consultation, they would walk into the room and they would be blown away by the frequency of the room. And so I would put them right in the middle of the room, and they would be getting the transmission of all the codes, and then we would do the session. And so I started DNA Perfection in 1999. And at that time, no one was talking about the possibility that you could activate your DNA with your intention. And so I met a lot of opposition from scientists and skeptics. And, you know, it was like, you know, Deepak Chopra has the most haters in the world because he was a medical doctor and then he changed to being a holistic doctor. And so he'll get on CNN and actually fight with his haters. But I knew that science would eventually catch up with the fact that you can activate DNA and you can activate certain epigenetics. And if you've ever, read any of Dr. Joe Dispenza's works, he's a doctor who has all of the scientific proof now. So I knew that that would happen. And so over the years, I've had over 1 million people on a webinar, or actually I've done 10,000 webinars and had over 1 million people total on the webinars, have over 40,000 followers on Facebook. I'm a published author of The Great Master and Mentor by My Avatar. I'm certified as a master teacher of NLP, human design engineering, clinical hypnosis, and I'm currently going back to school online at my original college in Texas, Sam Houston State, to get my doctorate in neuroscience. And so, I know a little bit about this. As well, I'm an indigo type 1, which I don't know if any of you know about that, but there's 3 types of indigos. There's indigo type 1 with a 48 strand DNA template, indigo type 2, 24 strand, which most of you are indigo type 2s, and then indigo type 3, which is a hybrid combination of a Nephilim and a 24 strand avatar. And so there's only 3 of us on the planet that have access to the original teachings, which are called the CDT plays. And that's probably why you're here, because you resonate with this, and we've had a relationship before in other lifetimes. In 2005, I was confronted by Babaji Nagaraj, who contacted me, and we started training together, and we did 22 levels of training. So I had to pass 1 level before I went to the next level. And for those of you, how many of you have read my book, The Great Master? Yeah, so that's a little bit about, my relationship with him. But every single night we would do astral projection. Like, he guided me on working together with him and other people in what is called the White Brotherhood. The White Brotherhood is like the spiritual council of the world. So in the White Brotherhood, you have, Babaji, Lord Kutumi, which is my higher self. You have Lord Maitreya. You have Jesus, Buddha, Lady Nada, a lot of different masters. And so every night around 2 o'clock in the morning, he would come and we would go to work. What are we working on? We're working on clearing the grids in certain areas, basically fighting with fallen angelic races who are trying to take over the world. So every night we would be doing that until like 7 or 8 in the morning. And then he would teach me certain things. And so my focus is on ascension, manifestation, and clearing blockages. Now, I'm not one of those love, light, and clueless type persons. I'm very grounded in the 3D. I like to have fun. I like to enjoy life. I think when you're enjoying life, your frequency is the highest. I don't have any guilt. I've cleared all that, so I have no problem, with what everyone thinks, which is freedom, total freedom. And I'm completely immune to drama. So if anyone ever tries to be negative to me or project any type of negativity, they're basically out of my field forever. You wouldn't allow a cancer just roam around in your body, right? So you can't allow negative people into your field. The first time that happens, you need to eliminate them. That's like eliminating a cancer, the first sign of a symptom. And so, one of the things that I wanted to share with you was when I was 9 years old, I had my first astral projection experience. And here's what happened. I was out in the forest, and it was a neighborhood behind my house, and I had a a BB gun. And I would go out, and I had read this book when I was growing up called Death in the Long Grass, which is about a African game hunter guide who would guide, hunters in Africa, and a lot of things would happen. Like they would get attacked, by lions, or, lions would attack a village. And I was pretending that I was a big game hunter guide, with my little BB gun. And so I'm out there walking around, and all of a sudden I hear this sound that is like locusts, like a lot of locust buzzing. How many of you have ever heard that sound before? Just type a Y in the text chat. Yeah, so it's a very high-pitched sound. And I had heard it before, but this time it was so high-pitched, it was hurting my ears. And then I just started vibrating so fast, I just left my body. And, when I was mentoring with Babaji later, he told me at that time, that's when I had my soul braided walk-in. So a soul braided walk-in is where your birth soul walks out into ascension, and then your avatar soul walks in. So this happens with indigo type 1 and type 2 children, because if you started with your avatar soul, the frequency of the soul oscillates so fast it would literally explode the fetal body. And so the soul braided walk-in is basically, you start with a smaller part of yourself to get the incarnation started, and then when you can accrete enough frequency, you download your avatar self. And so that was the first astral projection experience that I had. And that led to me studying, more about that remote viewing, the holographic universe, how everything is a hologram, how to heal people remotely. And so, I created the advanced auric clearing protocol and manual. I have over 2,000 certified practitioners around the world. And, I've done a lot of training. So why is this important? Why should you even care about astral projection? Well, when we talk about astral travel does not have many of the hassles that we now have when we travel, like on an airline. If we go traveling now, it's a huge hassle. It takes half your day. You have to take off your shoes. You have to quarantine now if you're going to certain cities for 14 days. And then when you get on the plane, the food is terrible. You don't have enough space. There's delays, your luggage gets lost, and all kinds of things. And so nowadays, the concept of traveling is not interesting or new. It's really just a pain in the ass. And so astral travel is a way to avoid all that. And it's very similar to the ancient explorers. Like there's a lot of books out there, if you study them, on astral travel. And so, one of the things that you could think about is, well, what is the astral plane? What do you guys think is the astral plane? What is your current knowledge of that? Just type it on the text chat. What is your definition of the astral plane? So we have different dimension density, slightly higher than here. The next dimension above where you are, free space. most people say is where the body goes after death, negative space, the etheric realm. Okay, so of course, the realm you travel to during astral projection is known as the astral plane, and you could think of this as the fourth dimension. Right now, you have a carbon-based body that is here in dimensions 1, 2, and 3. So dimension 1 would be your physical body, dimension 2 your emotional body, dimension 3 your mental body. Dimension 4 would be the astral level. And so people do believe that the astral plane is where we go after death. You know, others believe that this is the realm of angels and different spirits, but there are beings that live in all the different dimensions, interdimensional beings. You know, in the famous book Autobiography of a Yogi, Yogananda mentions the astral plane. And if you study chapter 33, the whole chapter 33 is about my mentor Babaji. And so you can travel in the astral plane by learning how to project your astral body from your physical body. And so that's what we're talking about here. The astral body is very similar to your regular body, but it's much finer. You know, it's less dense. And so whenever you project your astral body from your physical body, you actually do this at night when you're sleeping. Like, how many of you are aware that you travel in the astral while you're sleeping? Yeah, so you do. And you're connected by what is called the silver cord. So the silver cord is what holds the physical body to the astral body during astral projection. So when you're in the astral plane, the silver cord links us back to Earth and our physical body. So it's very elastic and it can stretch infinitely. The farther we go, the more the silver cord stretches. And so how do we even know that there's a cord? Well, many people have reported seeing this cord when they're traveling. And they just turned around and saw it, and it was connecting them to their physical body. Now, when you first start learning how to astral travel and you're leaving your body, you may have heard that whenever you become aware that you're actually doing it, you get so excited that you just fall back into your body. And so that's some of the training that requires to happen so you can maintain the astral projection. So the astral level would be considered D4, dimension 4. You know, a lot of people say that whenever you drop your body, you go through a tunnel, and what that tunnel is a null space. It's called a void between dimensions 3 and 4. And so you go through this tunnel, and then you end up on the astral level. And they say that at that level, you know, you have people that meet you, you have a life review, you see everything that you did in your lifetime, you compare that to what you agreed to do when you decided to incarnate in the first place. And then if you want to, you can decide to come back. And so that's some of the other things that you can do on the astral level. But for this purpose, what you're learning how to do is to leave your body and travel safely and learn things. You know, another thing that I found very interesting was a study where over 500 medical doctors had described something called night school. Has anyone ever heard of this, night school? So night school was where when they would go to sleep, they would travel in the astral and they would be taught by higher frequency doctors in the astral levels. And there's actually a book written about this. It's called MAP. It's a really good book on uh, how to connect to a higher dimensional doctor and initiate a healing session. It's called Medical Assistance Program. And this all really came from teachings from Saint Germain of the White Brotherhood, who, if you read my books, I was in communication with him many times about certain things, but he's known as the master of the violet flame. And so if once you start really studying this, you see that some of the first reported episodes of astral travel go back to the ancient Egyptians. Also the Taoist practices in China, Europe, um, some of the inscriptions in ancient Egypt. They had extensive knowledge of the globe and travel to far off lands, even though they didn't have the technology. And so the Egyptians believed in what is called Ka and Ba. So Ka was the astral part of the person and Ba was the soul. And so they believed that both could leave the body. Also, there's a lot of books that you can actually read from Madame Blavatsky. And so she was a master that traveled extensively to the East. And, she learned a great deal about astral travel from myself, who I don't know if you've ever read anything about Toby, but she is the one that wrote her books from my past self in the 1800s called Toby. And so it was pretty interesting when I found that book and I see everything that I wrote, which is exactly the same way that I write now. It's exactly the same. So it's like I'm reading something that I wrote a long time ago. And I didn't know that until I was mentoring with Babaji. I didn't know that. Also, there's a really good book called Projectology. So projectology is a study of astral projection. And this was a teacher named Waldo Vieira, who was a Brazilian doctor back in 1932. And so he wrote more than 20 books on the subject of consciousness and out-of-body experiences. And I went to look for this book a few weeks ago, and it's on Amazon, but guess how much the book is? The book is like $213. And then another thing I found as I was preparing for this webinar was a CIA release document all about astral projection, consciousness, meditation, and an actual study that one of the commanders was given the assignment for. And so look at this, the first paragraph here. You might want to look this up. If you guys send me a message later on Skype, I'll give you a link to this. But he says, you tasked me to provide an assessment of the gateway experience in terms of mechanics and ultimate practicality. As I set out to fulfill that tasking, it soon became clear that in order to assess the validity and practicality of the process, I need to do enough supporting research and analysis to fully understand how and why the process works. Frankly, sir, that proved to be extremely involved and difficult business. Initially, based on my conversations with a physician who took the gateway training with me, I had recourse to the biomedical models developed by Ishak Bentov to obtain information concerning the physical aspects of the process. Then I found it necessary to delve into the various sources for information concerning quantum mechanics in order to be able to describe the nature and functioning of human consciousness. So this is exactly what I had to do. I had to prove this to myself, and probably a lot of you that are awakening want to prove it in yourself as well, right? And so this document describes all the things that he did and all the things that he tested, because the government is not going to go with anything that can't be validated. And so they talk about quantum physics, they talk about remote viewing, they talk about hypnosis, and they show all the things that happen in the brain, the pineal gland. They talk about kundalini right here, biofeedback, the theta state, the delta state, hemisync, lamp versus laser, frequency following response technique, brain stimulation, resonance. This is like a treasure chest of information right here, which basically proves scientifically that all of this stuff works. So I'll send you the link to this after the webinar so you can actually study it if you're interested. Sound good? Yeah, it's very interesting. And so why should you learn this? Well, if you want to actually evolve and you want to connect to your higher self and you want to live from that level of yourself, there is a process of ascension, and it starts with being able to get your astral self out of your body. When you first learn how to do this, there's a specific training technique where you imagine yourself in a specific suit, like a rubber suit. And then in order to get your astral body out of that, which is actually your physical body, you have to get one limb out of your suit at a time. So, you might start with getting your arm out, and then you get your other arm out, and then you get your head out. And as soon as you get your head out, you can see 360 degrees. And then you work on getting the rest of your body out. And so once you get out, you're looking down at your body. And then at that point, wherever you're thinking that you want to go, you go immediately. This is how Babaji and other masters can do multiple holographic projections of themselves. They can be in different locations at the same time, and they can project their astral body to another person or another location and actually teach them things. Because when you're at that level of consciousness, the 3D here is so distorted that they cannot manifest their physical bodies here. Because if they did, they would immediately lose their immortality because of all of the distortions here. They would inherit that into their field. So they never do that. They usually just project their astral self. And I had this experience in Sedona when I first met Babaji and Mataji. They manifested into my room. And that's when the training started with Babaji. And so it's very interesting, but there are certain things that have to be done before you're able to do this. And so there's something called density lock seals that are in your etheric anatomy that require to be cleared, because these density lock seals are like implants, and they keep you stuck in the 3D. And so I don't know if any of you watched the last training I sent out on the release of the first 3D density lock seal. How many of you have seen that? Okay, so if you didn't go through that, you can go through that and you can get the first one released. The training that I'm about to do on astral projection will release the other lock seals. Also, you need to be free of any auric attachments. Auric attachments are like occupants, discarnates, portals, and wormholes. And also entities. You know, you can't have any entities around you. And so there's a specific way to set up a protection shield using one of the codes for astral projection, so you protect yourself while you're astral traveling, because there are, just like there are here in the 3D, negative beings out there. You know, there's even negative elemental beings, you know, like they look like dogs or cats or animals, but you know, you don't want to engage with any of these beings. You know, you just want to focus on where you're going, and you want to be protected the way, you know, the way you can protect yourself here. Because if you don't protect yourself, your field is completely open, and then anything that's negative, just like here in the 3D, will be in your field as residue, and that will lower your frequency. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay, so there's also a specific breathing technique that you have to do to prepare yourself to be able to astral project, and that's something that I'll guide you through. It's a specific breathing technique that I learned from Yogananda, which is a Kriya Yoga breathing technique, pranayama, and you basically use it to slow down your breathing to where you can get into a very, very deep state. Also, you know, a lot of people just have this mental belief that they can't do things, or they have fears or doubts or worries ruminating in the back of their mind. And so those have to be cleared as well, because you don't want to hinder or slow down or stop the manifestation of you doing astral projection when you have these fears ruminating in your mind. And so the goal of all of this is to get into a deep theta state and eventually delta state before you astral project. So this is like the most interesting and cool meditation you could possibly imagine, because you're not just meditating to quiet your mind. You're getting into deep meditation. You're mastering your mind. You're mastering your breathing. You're mastering your energy field. You're mastering your DNA. And then you're going on a trip. You're going to explore. You know, so what can you explore? You can explore anything you want. You know, you can go to someone's house, you can visit different countries, and you can verify that you're actually doing this. You know, I live in Vegas. I can go over to Caesar's Palace, to the high limit baccarat room, and see if they're still making people wear masks over there. You know, there's all kinds of things you could do. You can, you know, when the sports is happening, you can go to a game in the future and watch the whole game in your astral body, and then you know what's going to happen. And so you can come back, and if you want to wager on that game, you could do that. You can remote view the stock market. You know, astral travel is like a little bit different from remote viewing, because in remote viewing, you're projecting just your mind to the target. In astral projection, a part of you goes there. So you're sending your astral body there and then bringing back the information to your conscious mind. And so those are some of the things that you can do. One of the things that I wanted to go over were some of the tips that you can use for astral travel. One of the things is you want to find a place with absolute privacy where you won't be disturbed. And it's better if you don't do it from your bed, because what is your bed associated with? Sleep, right? Yeah, so as soon as you go in the bed, you're most likely going to go to sleep. Another thing is you want to be as deep as possible. So, one of the things I have is a brand new deep delta track that guides you into a delta state, which is where your brain waves are between 1 and 3 cycles per second. So you get into this deep delta state, and if you have trouble relaxing and letting go, like you're constantly in survival mode or you have problems with anxiety, then you can also use melatonin, which will help you to go deeper. You want to make sure you're comfortable. You want to have clothing that's very comfortable. You want to stay warm. You want to avoid any type of stimulants. So you don't want to take any alcohol or drugs on the days you're going to be astral projecting. If you do something like that, what happens is it lowers your natural protection field. So you don't want to do that. And then, any fear that you have that something bad can happen to you, one of the things you can remember is that nothing can hurt you if it doesn't have a body. I've done thousands of auric clearings where I've had to deal with entities around my clients. And when I first saw the first entity, it kind of freaked me out. But if you ever see an entity, what you need to do is put them in what is called a pale silver reflector orb, which holds the entity, and then you can set your intent and have a conversation with them to send them to the astral plane justly earned. And they will have to go immediately based on the law of free will choice, because if you know there's an entity around you or a client that's trusting you to work with them, they have to go. What's holding an entity there is typically a karmic tie between them and the client. And so once you clear that karmic tie, they have to go, and they'll go immediately. And they're very thankful usually. Nowadays, when I do an auric clearing, as soon as I see an entity, they leave because they've heard of me. They know who I am. And so let me just show you a little transcript of my experience with astral projection with Babaji and his teacher Krishna. So let me just pull that up real quick. Okay, can everyone see this? All right, so this is my book, Mentored by My Avatar. If you don't have this book and you would like to read it, you can just send me a message on Skype after this, and I'll attach it for you. But these are all the conversation, not all of them, but some of the most profound conversations I have with my mentor during those 22 levels of training. And so one day we had a very interesting conversation because he was telling me about his mentor, Krishna. How many of you have heard of Krishna? Okay, and so I'm gonna go down to the actual conversation, and here is the actual conversation. It's on page 159 of my book. So this is Babaji, and I'm in the italics. So he says, I must speak to you about something. I said, okay. The gathering we had today, and that was a gathering of the White Brotherhood, we had it at all levels. The great masters of the Great White Brotherhood desired to speak to you about the importance of something. He says, know that what we speak is based in just making sure that you are extremely clear, especially after receiving the power from the Divine Feminine to create stargates. So are you ready for some questions? And I said, yes. He said, these beings are higher in frequency than I am, my son. These beings are the masters of all avatars and rishis, and are the original seed providers and keepers of the one source will. Feel the energy as I speak. So I must make sure that you're willing and ready. And then I said, I'm ready. For I will open the sacred quantum egg space. Know that as you enter with me, you are committing even higher to the rest of your human life towards a higher mission and focus. Are you sure you're ready and willing? And this was back in 2006. I said, yes, I am sure. Stop anything else that you're doing. And I want all of you to do the same. Imagine you're having this conversation with Babaji right now. All right? Because you will feel the same energy transmission. Stop anything else you're doing. Take some moments of deep breaths. Because even when you don't see in the 3D, you're already traveling through a no time, no space measurement vehicle towards the divine origins of creation. Breathe. And then when this was happening, I felt like there was a big glowing sun in the middle of my house. He said, think of one thing that really propels your life to greatness and self-motivation to become the master that you even are more. And I said it out loud. And he said, thank you for sharing it out loud. Without me asking, now we are traveling at light speed. And this is when the astral projection was starting to happen. I could feel it. What seems in the 3D that nothing happens, actually everything happens and is created in those moments of pause and silence. And then I start getting the transmission from Krishna. Greetings. Divine Great White Master, we have been announced by Lord Babaji of your work and commitment towards it. We see that you come to us with heart chakra fully open. Is this correct? Yes. Blessed One, is it accurate to say that you as a male figure in the blue planet finally surrendered to the divine feminine power? Yes. Will it be in your good will to answer some more of our questions, Great White Master? Yes, I would be glad to. Are you aware that you have stepped out of the time limits within the human dimension right now? Yes, I feel this. And at this point, I couldn't feel my physical body. Do you understand that this ground is sacred and limitless and steps even beyond all universal laws? Yes, I understand. You are aware now that you have come to us through the request of Lord Babaji, assigned as your mentor, to receive a higher training and to receive accurate feedback? Yes. First, we must make sure of some things that have threatened the Blue Mission 12. So the Blue Mission 12 is the project of ascension of Earth, the blue planet. I said, of course. I desire you to know that this space where you have come is the origins place, a place where God is no God and where there are no polarities. This is the absolute harmonic universe. This is unity consciousness. We exist in the perfect place of what is, where all is born and rebirth. and where the divine will become manifested as it wishes. Do you feel this? Yes. Dear Master, you have been assigned as your master encoded wisdom is perfect balance to guard the origins of creation safely. Integrate this and advise us when ready. So this was a huge transmission of energy, like my whole body was pulsing and shaking. And then finally I said, ready. Now, back in the 3D, this information seems like fiction or unreachable. Like it was once the thought of your fellow human brothers when thought of impossible to reach the moon. Earth is at great risk. Are you aware of this? Yes. We're stepping beyond lifetimes here, beyond karma and history. Back in the 3D, this has been taken for granted before. Is it accurate that you already manifested some timely lessons to know how important focus is on this? And I was thinking, oh yes, we've all made our mistakes, right? He says, we desire to make sure that your commitment transcends just the desire to experience this, what is considered magical, mystical, and even miraculous in your third dimensional realms. We desire to make sure that once you have experienced this, you won't take this for granted as it has happened before, and it is our design duty to advise you. It's like this. In the 3D, a man desires so much to have a certain type of car, house, and job. He works many years for this. Then once he accomplishes this, he takes for granted what he created. This goes beyond this, dear one. And it is not about having or creating more things in the 3D, which we have received the request to assist you with, and we have accepted. Yet this all won't really matter. For the origins force, with your proper care, will flower a new civilization, a new earth, and a new humanity. Integrate this and advise us when ready. And then once I had integrated it, I said, I am ready. And he said, Dear Master of the White, you may use this information, but hold it sacredly. And this is 14 years later, I'm finally using it. You are here. Many have called us gods, yet we are but one manifestation of the original template of divinity. We will be watching closely, and we encourage you to continue as you have, with ultimate focus in what is dear, Master. Any distraction could cause the seed to return to us. And we sense that you're the one to ascend Terra and Earth. Terra is Earth's soul identity planet, dimensions 4, 5, and 6. Will this be accurate and agreed upon? Yes, it is accurate, and I agree to this. Be aware, Great Master, that this transmission has been called mythology in the past. When the great ones used to speak to the gods, know this is happening to you. I said, thank you, I'm extremely honored. Whatever happens, may the seed be guarded and fully protected. Is this clear, dear Master? Yes. Blessed be this moment, and may you be blessed with clarity, abundance, certainty, and higher commitment, reflected into your own universal heart. May the Maya not trap you in its pleasures and temporal beauty traps. May you rise above all this as you just did, in sacred ascension for all beings to become one again. Blessed be. We will contact you again when required. Thank you, Great White Master. Thank you. And then Babaji came back and said, my boy, you're not finished yet. Take 3 deep breaths while you integrate this. And all of you here, take 3 deep breaths. Drink much water and trust in the timing. Feel not pressure with anything, neither the packing, yet continue your work. Make sure to breathe and practice the divine detachment of the temporal attachments. This time that you are alone, take time to see all that which distracted you. See it, observe it, and witness your physical desires, your mental desires, etc. This will assist you with divine focus. You understand the importance of this now, right, my boy? Yes, I understand. All right. We are back to the 3D. So we just traveled back, astral projected back to the 3D. And so I was in my house in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, looking over the ocean, and he said, yet look carefully at your surroundings and ask yourself, of anything that you see that is eternal? Nothing. You know, you look around yourself right now, everything that you see is temporary. And then he said, see within now. And I said, well, I believe I am eternal. He said, yes. And what about the love that you feel? Of course. That was our little joke. This, my child, is more important than the I am. This is extremely powerful. My boy, you're a great master. And what is happening today is big, as you can feel. It is love that transcends form and space. It's love that creates a great master. And know that your strength is supreme and omnipresent, pure male, pure female. Questions? It serves integration. Not that the answers really matter, though. I said, well, Krishna U44, is that the Krishna? He says, yes, my teacher. And I said, wow, because it was completely unexpected that I would have that opportunity to communicate with him. And then I said, but is this just one being or like a gestalt of consciousness? He said, one gestalt being. I said, okay. He said, ha, ha, ha. And then Babaji said, okay, boy, time to rest. And so that was the experience of the ultimate astral projection. And, you know, this is something that you too can actually do. You know, imagine if you raise your frequency to the point where you can actually communicate with whoever you want. You know, a lot of people, they get excited whenever they see a celebrity, right? Well, every day when I was training with Babaji, we would talk with some of the people that you would never think that you would be able to talk to. You know, we were having conversations with Buddha. We had a conversation with Jesus. We had conversations with Lady Nada, Saint Germain. You know, it was incredible. So just like people get excited with, you know, talking to celebrities, I'm talking to these people all day. And it's really an unbelievable opportunity to download information. And then every single day I was interacting with my clients, and so I would just pass on the information to them. And sometimes they would give information about specific clients. So they would say, you know, your new client that I sent your way, he's a master. You know, this is how you need to teach him. This is how you need to introduce this. But he has to clear this and this and this. And so I used to ask Babaji, I would say, how are these people finding me? Because I had a website and no marketing. And as soon as I launched the website, I had a waiting list of 4 months for a session. And there were people coming from countries I never even heard of. And nowadays, I don't even have a website, because the website I had, people were just copying it and, plagiarizing it. And so I just took it down. So that's a little bit about what you could do with astral projection. Now, as promised, what I have for you is a brand new advanced astral projection training. And so the purpose of this training is so you can learn the first step of ascension, which is getting your astral body out and being able to travel in various dimensions, so you can learn the book of maps and keys, which is one of the books that was taken out of the Bible that was written by John the Baptist, which was another one of my lifetimes. Also, you're going to learn multidimensional freedom and solve the problem of being stuck in the 3D. So you can use it to solve even your 3D problems. If you have a specific problem that you want to solve, you can present this to your higher self before you astral project. And then when you do your projection, you'll be shown how to solve that problem. So you wake up in the morning with a solution of that problem. So of course, you can use it to manifest more finances. You can use it to align what you're doing with your soul's energy. The main purpose is to get out of the matrix, because as you can see, the earth is just deteriorating with all the density. And so those who know, we're either going to have to astral project out of here, or there's a possibility that we may be evacuated. And we're not talking about evacuating from a hurricane, we're talking about evacuating from the planet. And so it's essential to learn how to travel and to be free so you can actually do this. Also, once you start the advanced astral training, you will actually look forward to dream time. I look forward to going to bed at night. And you don't have to do it at night, but you can also do it during the day. But a lot of times you're tired at night, you've been working all day, and you just want to go to sleep. Well, now you'll have something to do for those 6 or 8 hours that are really fun and interesting and will evolve yourself. And so you can use it to explore different dimensions, universes. You can connect with higher masters, like Babaji or whoever you'd like to interact with. You can even meet your friends in the astral dimensions. What we're going to have in the training is we're going to have specific exercises where we meet each other. And so we will have an astral meeting. And so we'll meet in a specific place that will be decided on, and then we'll be able to verify our experiences. And so, the purpose of this is to travel without dealing with restrictions. As far as the 3D applications, you can use this for predicting the markets. You can use this to determine what's going to happen in the world regarding pandemics. As I said before, you can watch an entire sports game before it happens, and then you can wager on it or trade it. You could use it for gaming. You can use it for advanced healing. That's what I use it for. Like when I first started doing sessions, a lot of my clients would say, yeah, I relaxed, I was laying down, and then I had my eyes closed, and then I saw you right there in front of me, and you told me this. And after the session, you had this very peaceful look in your eyes, and I knew at that moment that you were my teacher. And at that time, I didn't even know that I was projecting a part of myself to my clients. But I've heard that many times, and now I can do it consciously. And so you could do this if you're in healing. You can also use it to tell if someone is being honest with you, or if there's a certain career opportunity that will work out for you. Like if you have many options, you can determine which one is going to work out for you. You know, you can even do astral sex. You know, this may freak out some people, but you know, the same rules apply with sex here in the 3D. Of course, you have a consenting uh, person as of age, you know, maybe your girlfriend or your wife or your partner that's traveling or whatever. But when I was training with Babaji, he told me about this. He said, you need to be careful. I said, what? He goes, I know what you're doing. and and I was practicing this with my partner. And I said, why? He goes, well, your power of manifestation, you can get her pregnant remotely. And I was like, really? He goes, oh yeah, you can do it. And so that was interesting to hear, but it just tells you of what is possible, because really in the astral level, there is no time or space. You know, it doesn't exist. There's only time here in the 3D. And so there's certain things that I'll teach you in the training about. When you go into an astral projection session, you lose track of time. So you may think, I'm just going to go astral travel for an hour, but you may be astral traveling for a day. You know, if you don't work out some system to wake up. Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah, so those are some of the things you'll be able to do in the astral training. How the training will be given, it's going to be an 8-week training. We're going to do 8 webinars like this over 8 weeks. Each week, you'll practice and have assignments. You also have access to the advanced astral projection code. And so you'll work with this specific scale away code every day that will basically clear out any remaining seals, implants, or blockages that would prevent you from being able to successfully astral travel. Also, during the webinars, I'll do clearings to clear all blockages to you doing this. And we'll also make sure that at least DNA strands 4 and 5 are activated. Because if you read my emails on this, you do require to have at least 5th strand DNA activation to access the dimension 4, the astral level. I'm also going to teach you the proper breathing, how to clear all your chakras yourself, how to activate your pineal gland, and then how to activate your kundalini energy, because it's the kundalini energy that powers your astral body out of your physical body. So you'll learn how to release the 2 kundalini seals at the base of your tailbone to be able to do this. So this is not like some, you know, astral travel hypnosis track that you can get for, you know, $20 on the internet that won't work. This is the most advanced training on astral travel and projection on the planet. And as I said before, you know, I do this every day, every night. Did so for 4 years straight with Babaji. And we were not, you know, just having fun. We were doing work. You know, we were working on the underground grids that were running discordant frequencies around the earth. We were freeing up the holodynes between China and Tibet. That was a major thing that we did. We were clearing blockages where we were headed towards World War III when George W. Bush was in office. You know, there was a lot of things that we do, and a lot of things that I can't even talk about. But you know, just realize that the teacher that you have has been doing this and can guide you on how to do this in a very safe way, and in a way that will enhance your whole experience of life. And so that's a little bit about the training. The total value of the training, you know, I have many private clients who invest 5K to 10K per month just for one-on-one mentoring. Usually an 8-week training is around $5,000. So the total value of the training with the code that you're going to receive is $10,000. This training that I'm doing, the advanced astral travel, is only for 8 sincere students. And so before you send me a message on Skype, just know I don't work with people that hesitate, who have to think about it. I don't work with people that are, like to complain, whine, and I especially don't work with people that want to prove to me their limitations. I had a student message me yesterday, and she said, "Well, I'm on a budget," and I said, "Well, why do you want to message me and then, you know, argue for your own limitations?" So I won't let you argue for your own limitations. If you want to stay where you're at and you want to argue about that, you can do that, but I know that you're not limited. I know the power of astral projection. I know the power of DNA activation. I've ascended before. I'm back here now helping you too. Okay. And so, if you want someone like that as your mentor who will tell you like it is and not put up with any of your bullshit, then I'm the mentor for you. Astral projection is just a beginning, but it is a beginning for you being able to get out of here as well. To me, it's really the true limitless pill. And trust me, it will change your life forever. And so that's the deal. Send me a message on Skype if you're getting a yes from your higher self. We'll chat a little bit and see if you're a fit for this. The investment for the training is going to be much less than the total. It's going to be less than half the total value that I've listed here. And so you'll be very surprised at how affordable this is. But I want to make sure you're a fit for the training before, I make the offer to you. So if you're feeling a yes for this, just message me now. I'm in at shivananda.brahmananda on Skype. And again, this is only available on this webinar and only available for 8 sincere students. And right now we have 1,055 people on the webinar. Any questions on this? Yeah, so I always tell people, I'm not here to convince you to do anything. All you have to do is connect to your higher self and ask your higher self if you're to do this. That's the best way to decide anything, in my opinion. So if you are getting a yes for this, add me on Skype, shivananda.brahmananda, and send me a message there. Any questions? So yes, for those of you who are thinking, I'm not really sure if I can do this, I've taught kids that are 8 years old how to do this. And I've also taught 80-year-old grandmothers how to do this. And so there's really no limitation as far as age. There's no limitation as far as intelligence. It's not about how much knowledge you have. Everyone can do this because it's built into your DNA template to be able to ascend. Your DNA is built for biological transmutation, turning into light. So the idea is you activate your DNA over a period of 44 years, and then at that point, you could demanifest your physical body, go into your Merkaba vehicle, and you could travel with your intention. That's what astral travel is. Whatever you think of where you're going, you go there immediately. And this is how the masters travel. This is how they get around. Any other questions? All right, so add me on Skype. Once you add me on Skype, send me a message on text. I am in. I'll chat with you there. I'm going to jump off the webinar and I'll start chatting with you right now. And then I'll also attach my book, Mentored by My Avatar, as this will complement the work that we're doing. So Steve, if you look here on the screen, the Skype is shivananda.brahmananda. That's my Swami name that Babaji gave me back in 2005. Only Skype. I do not use email. I do use telepathy though. So we're always communicating. All right, so if there's no more questions, I am going to mute myself and jump on Skype. I'm going to leave this up for you so you can see the Skype name. Send me a message on Skype here if you want to get one of the 8 spots. I see a lot of people already messaging me, so I'm going to chat with you now. And this is a training that is going to be so cool that people around you are not going to believe what you're doing. So once you sign up for the training, I would suggest not telling anyone else what you're doing, because they're going to try to project doubt. They're going to think you're crazy, but you know you're not crazy. You know this is possible. You know it can be done, and you know you can do it. So I look forward to having you in the training. Thank you so much for being here today, and I will talk to you soon.